The feelings Harry Potter creator JK Rowling managed to evoke within Hogwarts, the primary location of her Wizarding World setting, are numerous. Nostalgia, whimsy, curiosity, security, and danger are all present to various degrees, largely accounting for the 7 books worth of material for the present-day adventures of Harry Potter and his friends. While its origins are briefly explored in the series and in its expanded universe material, much of the castle's history is deliberately left obscured to enhance its aura of arcane mystery. But it is a tale filled with camaraderie, wonder, and betrayal, of 4 friends coming together to better their world, and how their disagreements on how to do so disintegrated their relationships. Certainly, the story of how one of the Wizarding World's most celebrated institutions of learning came to be is one worth exploration. So, how was Hogwarts founded? Quickly, before we get started, if you enjoy what I'm doing here, please toss this video a like and subscribe for more in the future. And if you really want to go above and beyond, ring the bell if you want to be notified every time I upload. You'd be surprised how much just that little action really helps the channel out. It's almost like magic. And with that out of the way, let's get started. The history of Hogwarts can be traced back to the medieval period, sometime during the late 10th century. This period was a dangerous time for sorcerers who were often persecuted and hunted down by Muggles hostile to magic. In the year 990 AD, 4 of the greatest wizards and witches of the age banded together in an effort to found an academy where the magical youth of the British Isles could safely be taught to harness their mystical abilities. This school would also keep the relatively defenseless children away from those Muggles who may wish to do harm to people they saw as using unnatural powers. These 4 were Godric Gryffindor, Helga Hufflepuff, Rowena Ravenclaw, and Salazar Slytherin, who were incredibly close friends. To liken them to a similar group of more modern wizards, it is said that their friendship was as close as those of the Hogwarts Marauders of the 20th century. In particular, Gryffindor and Slytherin had a close bond, as did Hufflepuff and Ravenclaw. Unfortunately, like the Marauders after them, one member of the quartet would eventually grow distant from the others, though to consequences far less severe than the falling out of the Marauders. Each of the founders were remarkably powerful for their time, and together they built the castle of Hogwarts in the Highlands of Scotland. Though it is unclear from where and how exactly the university acquired its rather unusual brand, rumor has it that the eccentric name was bestowed upon it by Rowena Ravenclaw. This gossip speaks of a dream Ravenclaw had, of a warty hog leading the witch to a cliff by a great lake near a massive forest. This location turned out to be very much a real place, and was chosen as the site for the school, named Hogwarts in honor of Ravenclaw's porcine dream guide. It is unclear if this hearsay has any truth to it, however. To keep the castle safely hidden, the 4 founders placed a variety of charms and enchantments on its grounds to discourage any curious Muggles from investigating further. Notably, though it is difficult for non-magical people to enter the school's properties due to this spellcraft, even if they got close enough to see Hogwarts, they would not see an enormous bustling academy full of children. Instead, any passing Muggle would only see the ruins of a dilapidated castle and signs warning them to keep away from its dangerous interior. The castle itself is dense with magic, down to the stones used to make its structure. And though Ravenclaw devised a floor plan, it frequently alters its layout. Rooms were known to change location, as were each of the castle's 142 staircases, even if individuals were currently climbing them. Various magical charms and enchantments were placed on the castle, including an anti-disapparation jinx that prevented teleportation into and out of the school. It is unknown if the founders placed this jinx on themselves, and there are notable exceptions. Any Hogwarts headmaster, for example, can teleport in and out of the school, and certain locations can have the jinx lifted, such as the Great Hall when students learn how to disapparate. No one person has ever known every secret the building possesses, not even any of the 4 founders. This was at least partially by design. Each of the founders contributed their own additions to the castle. Most notably, Slytherin built a series of hidden rooms deep below the castle, which he intended to use as classrooms for his most elite students. These rooms, as well as the miles of caves and tunnels carved between them and the castle, would later become collectively known as the Chamber of Secrets, a part of the castle's mythology that most were unsure even existed for almost 1,000 years. Helga Hufflepuff arranged for the Hogwarts kitchens to be staffed by a contingent of house elves, in a work environment where they would be safe from abuse and mistreatment. Hufflepuff herself was also widely known for her food-related charms, and many of her recipes are still used in the many feasts held at Hogwarts. The phrase Draco Dormiens, Nunquam Titilandus was selected as the school's motto. Translated from Latin, this means, never tickle a sleeping dragon. Sound advice, to be sure. Each of the 4 founders were preferential towards certain qualities in their students, and eventually each created their own house within the school to further specialize the lessons they taught their apprentices. Though the pupils still commingled in shared classes, separate common rooms and dormitories were constructed for them. The houses have remained an integral part of Hogwarts, even a millennium after the founders passed away, and friendly competition between them is a part of life at the school. Examples of these contests include an annual House Cup competition that rewards good behavior and punishes bad, and a Quidditch tournament between all 4. Gryffindor tended to admire students who exemplified courage, daring, nerve, and chivalry, as he felt that these were amongst the most virtuous traits one could possess, the boldness to do great things. However, non-Gryffindors often felt that this bravery could border on recklessness and pointless heroics, with some like Slytherin head of house Severus Snape considering many Gryffindors self-righteous and arrogant. The lion was chosen as their crest, and red and gold as their colors. On the other hand, Slytherin prized values like resourcefulness, determination, ambition, and cunning. He wanted his students to have the ability to achieve great things. He also particularly sought out students who were Parseltongues and could speak to snakes, a rare ability that Slytherin himself also possessed. However, Slytherin was also greatly concerned about blood purity and carefully selected students based on this criteria. His house crest is the serpent and its colors silver and green. Slytherin has earned a reputation of coldness and snobbery among other students. An intense rivalry has grown between the houses of Gryffindor and Slytherin, though it must be said that Godric Gryffindor and Salazar Slytherin often sought to recruit the same sorts of students. Their houses, just like the men, represent 2 sides of the same coin. Ravenclaw selected students according to their intelligence and wisdom, valuing traits like creativity, cleverness, wit, and sharpness of mind. As a house built upon academic potential and study, and the frequent immaturity of teenagers, Ravenclaws have earned a reputation for being uptight bookworms from some within Hogwarts. Their crest is the eagle, their colors bronze and blue. Finally, Hufflepuff was known for her loyalty, patience, tolerance, and hard work, and took on any students that did not catch the fancy of any of the other founders and treated them equally well. The Hufflepuff crest is a badger, its colors black and yellow. As the founders aged, the quartet began to wonder how their houses would select students after the founders inevitably passed away. In a stroke of brilliance, Gryffindor volunteered a hat that he owned, and the 4 enchanted it with their combined intelligence. The headwear, now called the Sorting Hat, was imbued with some degree of sentience, was animated with some sense of life, and was now able to read the thoughts and personality of whomever wears it. After the founders died, the hat was left to the new headmaster of Hogwarts, and new students at the school were divided into the houses by the hat during a ceremony at the beginning of every school year. As Hogwarts grew in both class size and notoriety, the relationships between Slytherin and the other founders deteriorated, even with Gryffindor, once his closest friend. Slytherin's concern over the blood purity of the students Hogwarts was admitting worsened, as the wizards saw pupils descended from Muggle families to be unworthy of their arcane gifts, untrustworthy with the secrets of magic, or both. The other founders disagreed. Hufflepuff felt that all students should be treated equally, while Ravenclaw found that some of her most intelligent students were Muggle-born. Gryffindor was perhaps the most vehemently opposed to Slytherin's ideology, believing that the quality of one's character and actions determined their worth, not their origin. Despite their growing rift, Slytherin eventually approached the other founders and proposed that Hogwarts only admit pureblood students. It is unclear how or when exactly this proposal transpired, or whether or not Slytherin presented it as an ultimatum. Some say that the discussion quickly led to a heated argument between Slytherin and Gryffindor. Others suggest it devolved into a duel. The victor of the confrontation is ultimately unimportant, but its fallout is undeniable. Gryffindor and Slytherin cut ties completely, and Slytherin left his position at the school, though not before leaving a basilisk within his chamber of secrets. Legend has it that Slytherin's heir would one day return to Hogwarts and reopen the chamber, commanding the basilisk to purge the school of its Muggle-born students. Despite his detestable misgivings towards Muggle-borns, Slytherin's contributions to the school remained honored by the other founders, and his house is still an integral part of the school, its history, and its spirit. Despite leaving many details within its text, the Harry Potter franchise has deliberately obfuscated much of the story of how Hogwarts was founded. Just as with real history, multiple accounts of what transpired are presented, many with overlapping details, but some with dramatic differences. Part of me wants the Wizarding World transmedia franchise to take a more concrete look at the story, perhaps in a miniseries or film. But another part of me quite likes how much mystery is involved here. Perhaps if they frame it as someone telling someone else's story, there would still be room for multiple interpretations. What do you all think? Would you like to see this story expanded in some way? Let me know down in the comments below. And hey, if you enjoyed this, please remember to like and subscribe for more lore and explanations in the future. And if you really want to do me a solid, ring the bell so you're notified every time a new upload releases. YouTube is this weird magical monster sometimes, and we just have to do whatever weird, strange occult things that it wants us to do, so these videos even show up in your feed. It's crazy, I know. But as always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.